What's up, everybody? It is I, Tevin El Chapo. Friends call me Chop, and we are back with another episode of Chop Logic. Welcome back to the show where we get to the logic of things, or at least my perspective of it, right? So here we are yet again. First things first, as usual, you know the drill by now. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We've been giving out cash prizes for our trivia sections to our subscribers. We want to make sure that you get a prize that you are subscribed to the channel. Also, don't forget to comment below your favorite moment of each episode to be eligible to get a prize. Now, today, we are talking about the creative way. And the creative way is essentially just creative inspiration. So what does creative inspiration look like? It could look like anything for anybody, right? Now, obviously, it depends on what field you're in, right? If you're a writer, you can get creative inspiration, just how it comes out may be different. If you're a photographer, videographer, director, whatever the case may be, creative inspiration just comes from anything. It could be your own personal experiences. It could be the things that you're influenced in. It could be contemporaries in whatever space that you're in, just a variety of places. So we're just going to take a few minutes to talk about creative inspirations. So, understanding first things first, what is creative inspiration? So something that inspires you to create on a high level would be creative inspiration. Something that you can pull from, like I said, from an experience, from another medium or anything like that. These are things that can be, in fact, considered inspirational. For me personally, I get a lot of creative inspiration from not only just my experiences, but also a lot of the things that I've watched and enjoyed as a consumer of creative things like movies, TV shows, things of that nature, right? So, for me, I'm real heavy into films. I'm a film school graduate, so I watch a lot of films. Heavily inspired by films, heavily inspired by TV shows, just things that I've always found interesting. I've always been inspired to do. So whether it be TV shows like something like Martin or the Wayans Brothers, Fresh Prince, Living Single, like 90s black sitcom type stuff, or it could be like movies like, things like John Wick, or it could be just things like, it could be anything really. I've seen so many films and television shows. But realistically, it's just a matter of like what the inspiration is exactly, so it don't have to necessarily be anything super specific. You don't even have to like completely copy. And I just want to make sure that you understand there's a difference between creative inspiration and copying somebody's work, right? So creative inspiration is kind of taking something that you liked and putting your own spin on it. I did a video on my social media account where I was pretty much doing like a mini music video, and we shot it at night, and I was wearing like light up glasses where the frames pretty much lit up, or the lenses rather were lit up. And I got that inspiration from watching anime, the trope of just glasses kind of flaring in certain shots, specifically in shows like Neon Genesis Evangelion, where, the dad character, his glasses kind of flared up in certain scenes and stuff like that. So it was just kind of like a visual type thing that I got inspiration from and used that in my video, right? It could be a little bit of anything in between, So like I said, I've seen so many movies and TV shows that, it could be something as simple as me watching, I was watching Snowfall the other day, and it was, I don't want to get too much about like the plot, but basically the main character, Franklin, and his best friend, Leon, they were looking for Franklin's ex-girlfriend who had went missing. And it was one shot where him and Leon are talking to each other, and it starts with them kind of far away. They were kind of far away, but the camera kind of like zooms in like closer to them, kind of like a crazy pan. I know that it's not really super how I'm describing it, but that was a shot that inspired me as well. Like just seeing cinematography in films is super inspirational. Seeing how people convey emotions through color, through lighting, through sound, through camera angles. A lot of those things definitely inspire me in a lot of places. So These are a lot of places that I pull, my creative inspirations, but you can pull it from so many other places. Like you can go into nature. A lot of people can get inspired by being outside, touch grass, go to the woods, take a hike a mountain, just take a walk somewhere, go for a run, maybe. These are great places to get great inspiration. Going to new places, like traveling. A lot of inspiration comes from just your environment. So change your environment, go out the country, go to another state, somewhere you've never been, have experiences, try new things, try new food, go to the beach, maybe, deal with people outside of your culture. It could be outside your race, outside your religion, just people in general, and just seeing how they live and how they operate and try to understand them to a degree so that you can build some type of creative inspiration potentially from that. Or even just spiritually, if you were to pull creative inspiration from your own experiences in your own religion or faith, in your walk with your faith, this is another place where, you can definitely get inspired to create and inspired, dope things to come out of you in terms of creativity, just a lot of stuff like that. So, creativity is such a broad spectrum because nobody necessarily forces you to be creative. Everyone who's in a creative field do it because that's where they want to be. At least for me anyway, I wanted to be here. I wanted to be a creative. I wanted to be full-time as a creative. So I made sure to do what I can to make sure that I can keep myself in that type of space. And, essentially you can even get inspired from reading books, get inspired from seeing others, seeing things from the past, trying to innovate the things that you may have seen in the past, see how you can make it better, make it your own. It's a lot of ways that you can build inspiration, and just being creative is like one of the most beautiful things you can be because it keeps the mind flowing as much as possible. There's plenty of times where, I may be down or I may be sad, and the first thing I want to do is create. That's inspiration right there. Your emotions can inspire you to be creative. A lot of stuff like that, I didn't want to get deep, but we definitely can pull a lot of creative inspiration from a lot of places. Just also even collaboration. We never talk about collaboration too often because a lot of people either don't know how to collaborate or don't. Some people may not be in a position where they are doing projects where collaboration is super necessary, or whatever the case may be. Everyone's situation is different. But when you do collaborate with people, that is a great opportunity for you to be able to find new levels of inspiration, get to see what inspires them, have these conversations. Building relationships with people can inspire you because you never know what type of gem, what type of information, what type of quality of life shift you can have just from having a good conversation with someone. So that's always a factor when it comes to like inspiration, just in terms of not even just creativity, but just in life in general. And then, let's not forget too, art in general. As a creative, we always talk about that. The word creative always seems to apply to just people like us, right? Who are behind the camera to some degree. But we never talk about artists, like people who paint, people who draw, people who animate. These are also places of inspiration that you can find. And a lot of creatives that I know are multifaceted. So, either they decide they want to pick up a camera, but they also know how to draw, or they also know how to, do so many other things in the creative space aside from their main creativity. For me, I don't know how to draw per se, but, I enjoy photography more as a creative field. I enjoy also music as well. I don't rap too often, but the few times that I have, it's been, just strictly on some me being creative. If you haven't, be sure to watch Freaky T on my Instagram. But yeah, just things like that. And just also being sure that, you finding the right resources. You can educate yourself on levels of creation through reading or just observing different things. Also, just being restful. So in our field that we in, it doesn't necessarily require us to be going super hard, working, or overly focused on it. You can get inspiration from just sitting on the couch. You can get inspiration while you're meditating. Like, you can get inspired by even the most mundane moments of your day. And if you are inspired by those moments, those are the things that can help you propel you to get up and be less mundane and more productive into your creative fields. So, it's just kind of like just having good rest can be super crucial in terms of being able to fully be successful as a creative as well. All right. And, also on top of that, just understanding just how to build creativity through inspiration. And by that, I specifically mean building collections. So, when I'm doing photography and I'm looking for inspiration, I usually go on Pinterest and kind of make I wouldn't say like a collage, but just like a compilation of just different photos that, kind of inspire what I'm trying to go for with whatever project that I'm doing, just going to places like that. Just finding, like I said, inspiration, maybe things on YouTube, maybe clips that you may see. You can collect those in like a YouTube playlist and see how those can inspire you too, and see how you can come back to it later and maybe find some different ways of expanding your creativity in a lot of places as well. So, it's a lot of different places you can get creative. It's a lot of different things that you can do to build creative inspiration. Also, just want to talk about experimentation. Don't be afraid to experiment as much as possible, especially as a creative. That one of the biggest things you should do is always be experimenting. Experiment with your flavor, experiment with your style, experiment with anything and everything to see how you can adapt and how you can learn in different situations. You don't want to confine yourself to anything, realistically, even if it is one thing that may be paying you at one point or one thing that you really enjoy doing specifically. It don't necessarily mean that you can't take a little bit of time to experiment in new avenues, things that can challenge you mentally, physically, things that can keep you on your toes, essentially, so that you will be able to continue to grow and prosper as a creative. And, that's super important. Super important to make sure that you're always growing, not just in the creative field, but just in every field of your life. You always want to make sure that you're never in a place of stagnation. And one of the easiest things to do is be stagnant as a creative. I said rest can help you be inspired, but it can also make you uninspired too. You get too much rest, you ain't gonna be worried about creating no more. So it's all a fine line, it's all a dance, but at the same time, you got to know how to do the dance. And part of the dance is understanding when you have to take that step back and get that rest that you need to keep moving forward. And also know that when you got to get up, get back on your feet and keep things moving. And also knowing when it's time to adapt and change and experiment with new styles and new techniques and everything that you may need. Like, all those things are super important. So you always want to make sure that you're always just challenging yourself in those regards, that you're always continuing to want to grow as much as possible, and that you're not afraid to experiment just as much as you're not afraid to give yourself time to rest as well. Wow, I just said a lot of stuff. Don't forget to like this video. I'm gonna make sure that I keep saying that. Speaking of, like, even just in terms of creative inspirations, how about nostalgia? Nostalgia is a thing that Hollywood has been exploiting for some time now. Every reboot, remake, sequel that we didn't necessarily need came from a level of nostalgia, even if it was just nostalgic enough to get $1 out of us, right? But for you can get a lot of inspiration from a lot of your childhood experiences, a lot of things that make you nostalgic. Those things could be like watching an old episode of SpongeBob or something. Like, anything that can make you inspired. There's not one particular thing that defines inspiration. It could be any and everything. It could be anything you're seeing, anything you're experiencing, anything you have experienced, anything you want to experience. You can put your manifestations in creativity. You know, you definitely want to make sure that you're propelling your future as much as possible, but you can speak things into existence. You know, rappers do it all the time. Not always, you know, in a positive light, but they do it. So it's always an option. So you definitely want to make sure that you're always challenging yourself. You're always finding new areas where you can be inspired. You're never comfortable when it comes to just being a creative, because comfortability is pretty much where you stop growing. So you always want to find new ways to be uncomfortable, and always just trying to make sure that you try to get the creative juices flowing as much as possible. Now, one thing that I've realized in this field that I've been in, you know, at the level that I am, because I am a full-time entrepreneur in my videography business. And as a business, I've had to understand that it ain't always about me. And by that, essentially, sometimes you may want to be more creative than what the project will allow you to be, or the client will allow you to be. And what do you do in those situations? Well, it's simple. You comply to what the client needs. I can't tell you how many people I've met in my journey, fellow videographers, photographers, who felt like they can just do whatever they wanted to do and the client was going to take it. Sometimes you'll have a client like that, which is amazing. More power to you. Like, having clients that truly respect your vision and give you input into the creative process is truly a blessing, because not every client is willing to do that. But because not every client is willing to do that, you gotta understand when that does happen, that you should be grateful. And when it doesn't happen, you should still be mindful of the wishes of the client. You don't shoot something for the sake of what you want to shoot. You want to shoot what's best. And what's best is going to be a mix of your creative inspirations, your approach to how you do things, plus what the client needs and wants. It's a melting pot, all those things together, because that will give you the best product. The client hires you for a reason. They could have got anybody else to do it, but they hired you. So what is it about your flair that you can bring into whatever project that you step into it? You know, you don't want to necessarily be uniform, but at the same time, you don't want to give the client any old thing for the sake of giving them any old thing. So you want to make sure that you're being mindful on both sides of that fence, because that is, in fact, a fine line to walk at all times. But I would definitely say that if you are in a place where you can get those creative inspirations out, get them out as much as possible. If you can do it within your business, even better. If you just take time to your own personal projects and do it that way, also amazing. But the goal is that you always want to constantly be inspired. Being in a creative field means that you have to find inspiration, even if it's not super creative, whatever it is you're doing. When we do corporate events and everything like that, when I shoot corporate videos and everything, or business related conferences and things of that nature, I still bring my own personal creative flair to everything that I do. But I just make sure I work it within the confines of what it is that is needed for that specific client. So that's always definitely a line that you need to dance. Like I said, it is a dance, but sometimes you gotta know how to two-step, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta know, hit that. I'm not gonna dance too much behind this desk, but you get the point I'm trying to make. So yeah, that's pretty much everything on creative inspirations. You definitely want to stay inspired as much as possible. And if you are inspired, then you might want to be a little bit more inspired by this word from our sponsors. This video is sponsored by Chop House Media Group. Now listen, podcasting is hard. All right, there's a lot of moving parts to a successful podcast, whether it be the shooting side, the post-production side, the audio mixing and mastering. Just having the right strategy and know how to even get this podcast in the right places and getting it into the right positions to get monetized. And that is where Chop House Media Group helps out at. We have coined the phrase the podcast in the box, where we pretty much facilitate anything and everything that you need to run a successful podcast, between the production, the post-production, the strategy, and tips and tricks that you need to be 1,000% successful in every single aspect of your podcasting career. Now, if you are interested in being a part of this and making sure that you get your podcast to the next level, whether you are just now starting out your podcast or you are already in the podcasting field but want to take it to another level, be sure to hit the link below and schedule your free consultation with us to make sure that we get your podcast up and going further than you can ever imagine. All right, again, thank you to Chop House Media Group for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the show. And we're back. I'm closing the laptop because it is time for trivia. Trivia. So pretty much this is how it works. My executive producer, Javane, he is behind the scenes. He's going to give me some questions. I have to get a majority of the questions right to keep my money. If I don't get them right, then I will award one of our subscribers to the YouTube channel a cash prize. Now, if you want to be one of the people who can win the prize, you want to make sure that, for one, that you are subscribed to the channel. Also, you want to also make sure that you comment below on this video to make sure you actually watched the video and got to this point, to make sure that I even got the questions wrong for you to win a prize in the first place. Because if I get all these right, there's no prize. So don't hit me up saying, hey, where my prize at every episode, because that's going to tell me you didn't watch. Because I get some of these right. I get a fair amount.
At least it's a couple.
It's a toss-up.
All right, so
60-40. Who's 60, who's 40? I'll let you decide. But we'll go ahead and get started.
All right, but we're going to keep it with the same format we've been doing for the past couple episodes. 2 multiple choice and a true or false.
Let's run it.
I hope you know your photographers, your cinematographers, your directors. And it sounds like y'all getting paid today, bro.
It depends.
All right. So, first question. You're going to hate me for this one. Actually, don't hate me. Hate ChatGPT.
I already do.
All right, cool. So, which famous photographer is known for saying, you don't take a photograph, you make it?
What?
Your answer choices are Annie Leibovitz, B, Ansel Adams, C, Henri Cartier-Bresson, or D, Richard Avedon. At this point, I'm going to just tell you to flip a coin, shoot in the dark, just guess.
How the hell am I supposed to know any of those people? Do you, look, if you watching this, do you know any name that he just named? Because we ain't going to put no B-roll to show no pictures or nothing. Do you know the names? Say the names again.
Annie Leibovitz.
Ansel Adams.
Henri Cartier-Bresson.
Cartier-Bresson.
And Richard Avedon. They're all famous.
Allegedly.
No, all right. Let me see if I can think of like famous pictures you've seen from Annie Leibovitz, because she is.
Did any of them do Starry Night?
No.
What about the diner joint? Like when they be sitting in the diner?
That's what's his name? It's not. No, but that was a painting though.
Same difference, gang.
That was a painting though. Annie Leibovitz is the only one that's living out of these people, by the way.
I'm surprised. Okay.
Yeah, Ansel Adams was like one of the first famous photographers, and Henri Cartier-Bresson was like, he was also like one of the founders of Magnum Photos, which is like this.
Magnum has photos?
It's called Magnum Photos. It's a bunch of photographers. They're like in this. It's like a group or.
Oh, okay, the Diddy party of photographers. Got it. That's why they call Magnum. All right. It's the Diddy of photography.
All And Richard Avedon was a famous like fashion photographer back in the day.
And what was the quote?
The quote was, "You don't take a photograph, you make it."
I'm gonna go see final answer.
Henri Cartier-Bresson.
I don't even know who C was. Yeah, I don't know.
Should I give you some context of what they shoot, and then you could kind of like guess?
Okay.
So Annie Leibovitz, she shoots like fashion stuff. She's done a few like very important people in the world. I don't know if it's Kamala, but she shot a portrait of, I think it's the black woman that was like added to the Supreme Court or something like that the other day, like a few years ago.
I know you're talking about. I don't remember her name off the top of my head, but I know who she is.
Yeah, so she photographed her. It was a big thing because of how she lit the photograph and blah blah blah. Because Annie Leibovitz would be washing black people out,
Okay.
skin color wise.
All right.
Richard Avedon shot a lot of like I said, in studio fashion photography for Vogue, stuff like that. And then Ansel Adams shot like a lot of landscape stuff. Like when I say landscape, I mean just like mountains, shit like that. I don't know if that helps, but that's what they all do.
And what was the quote one more time?
You don't take a photograph, you make it.
I'm gonna go see final answer.
All right.
Yeah, I feel like that was wrong, but we'll do.
It is wrong.
What is it?
It's B, Ansel Adams.
I don't know none of these people. I don't see. I'm like, I haven't seen their work. No disrespect, because clearly all of them are on a higher level than where I'm at right now. So shout out to all of them.
Right. I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, technically, some of them are in a lower level since 3 of them are dead. They're like 6 feet below. But
Let's move on. Let's just move past that. That's true, but still.
their work,
Yeah.
not physically speaking.
Yeah. Let's next. Yeah. Let's go.
All right, something easy though. True or false? Many photographers find that stepping away from photography and exploring other art forms like painting or music can help refresh their creativity. True or false?
Definitely true. I just said that, right?
He did. See, they thought of what you were going to say in the episode and, gave you something easy. So you got one.
All right, cool. So we 1-1 already. Moment of truth, y'all.
All right, here we go. Like I said, I hope you know your directors and cinematographers because this one kind of crazy too.
I'm already out of it. Let's go.
All right, which famous director often uses photography as inspiration for his cinematography in their films? For A, you got Quentin Tarantino. B, Christopher Nolan. C, Wes Anderson. And D, Martin Scorsese.
And what was the question?
Which famous director often uses photography as inspiration for the cinematography in their films?
I feel like it's not Quentin Tarantino because he bites off other movies. Or not biting, but you get what I'm saying. Yeah. I wish I knew more about Christopher Nolan's process. I feel like because he gets ideas from, sometimes it'd be like sciencey stuff. Like I'm thinking of like Interstellar and like Oppenheimer and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. You have to use a process of elimination.
A part of me, I'm trying to think Wes Anderson.
Have you seen Wes Anderson movies? Or like enough to have like an idea of what his like?
I feel like I've seen more trailers than I have of his actual movies. Like I had to pull up a list of his actual movies.
Okay.
I want to say it's him just off of the little that I do know. I know Martin Scorsese, he always just makes movies based on his own experiences. Like with Goodfellas and stuff like that. Always that came from like his growing up.
Okay.
And a lot of the things that inspired him that way.
All right. I'm liking the process. I'm liking the process of eliminating.
I want to say it's C because I just again don't know. I'll be mad if it is Christopher Nolan though. but I will say C. Wes Anderson.
Final answer.
Yes.
You, my friend, are correct.
I'm right.
Yeah.
Hot damn, I knew it. See, I be knowing some. I know stuff. I know some of these words. You know what I'm saying?
But I think Wes Anderson, if I'm not mistaken.
He made that movie. Was it Android? Not Android. Asteroid City.
Yeah.
I remember that, and I remember seeing the trailer.
Trailer for it, and it just looks like.
Yeah, and then he do, what was that joint? Grand Budapest?
Mm.
I mean, look, man, I spent a lot of years watching movies.
I wish they had included Stanley Kubrick in here, because he's actually a photographer.
That would have been, that would have been a trick one, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been, if they had put him in there.
I don't know his inspirational process. I just know that he made that lady cry in The Shining. Yeah, like they did so many takes that she literally just started crying.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's one of those, like, you gotta do a million take type niggas. Well, all right, y'all. Looks like, hey,
Yeah, I'm not getting nothing.
ain't getting nothing today, man. But listen, still make sure to comment. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel nonetheless. And listen, this can go either way any episode. So don't think that because you didn't win this week, you won't win next week. You know what I mean? So subscribe to the channel. Like this video for more. Comment below what was your favorite moment as well. And we going to be out of here, man. My name is Tevin No Chapo. Friends call me Chop. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.